Okay, so we're about to start. I hope everybody remembers that last time we sort of finished off the section of the book which details kind of the life of the Chochom. So to start off with, Rabbi Nachman gave us over all of the negativity, all of the problems, all of the terrible midos that detail the downfall of the Chochom. And now we begin, Rabbi Nachman is going to begin to tell us the story of the Tam, of the simple one, let's say. And we're going to learn about termimus. So in the story itself, it says, let's throw away now the Maaseh of the Chochom, and let's begin to teach, to talk, to tell over the story of the Tam. Rav Kiwak says in his book, right in this thing, he says, Amen ve'amen. Right? Let's get rid of the Maaseh of the Chochom. Forget it. Let's throw away this intellect from ourselves. Let's throw it in the garbage. And let's begin to now learn what it's all about. Let's begin to learn the midas of the Tam. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here is we'll spend 2 weeks probably sort of at the very beginning of this story. We'll start off with Rav Kiwak this week because he has sort of a big introduction to the inyan of the Tam. And it's so good that I really want to go through it a lot, sort of reading inside and explaining, because it's fantastic. Just to give us a bigger picture of what we're talking about now. It also has to do with a lot of things that some of us experienced this week. So let's see. It starts like this. Rabbeinu Melamed bezeh ha'maisa eich lichyos chayim tovim k'mo hatam. Rabbeinu Zal, Rabbi Nachman is teaching us in this story how we can live chayim tovim, good life, like the Tam. What does good life really mean? What's the depth of good life? Forget it. We're talking about being a Tam, not a Chochom. He's going to teach us how to live a good life. Kasha me'oid. But wait a second. This is not so simple. This doesn't make sense. Iker mailas ha'adam hu hadas. Don't we say that the ultimate greatness of a person really is their das? Interestingly, we see Jews care so much about das, about knowledge and wisdom, to the extent that we have halachas that when a person is washing their body, you're having a shower, you're supposed to wash your head first. Why? Because of the reverence we give to our das and to our wisdom. So how is it that we have a whole story over here that talks about the greatness of the one who seems to be simple and is not clever, doesn't have a good mind, and the terrible nature of the person who's bright and quick? It doesn't seem to fit our whole religion over here. How does it work? We say haneshama shebamoichi, my neshama that's in my brain, right? The brain is the resting place, the interface place of the neshama, right? Ladas meor haTorah u'migadlos Hashem. This is how we know about the illumination of Torah and the greatness of Hashem. Ve'ech tziva lanu liyos tam. How could it command us? How could Rabbi Nachman be commanding us to be a Tam? Who do we look up to? Let me ask you this. You look through Jewish history, right? We call them sometimes Gedoyle Chachmei Yisrael. The great wise people of Israel, the great rabbis, the great sages, right? Although we do have stories in Chassidus about simple people, they're not generally the ones that we remember. We have Moshe Rabbeinu, our teacher, right? Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They all spent time deep in contemplation and thought and in Torah. So what's going on? We're just trying to explain it more and more. How could Rabbi Nachman be telling us, no, be a Tam? V'gam, kol harichas dvarim hakadoshim b'halichas hatam. Everything that he talks about in the ways of the Tam. Hayim yesh inyan. Are we supposed to imitate this? Are we supposed to actually do this? One of the things we're going to see is that the Tam eats, he can't afford, he doesn't have money. So his wife has a loaf of bread. So she feeds him a piece of bread. And he tastes whatever he wants to in this bread. And he takes another piece of bread and says, can you give me some steak? And she gives him a piece of bread. And he's like, this steak is so delicious. Can you give me like these beans and sauce? And she gives it to him, and another piece of bread. And he's like, oh, the sauce was delicious, right? So, because all he has is bread. So, are you telling us, Rabbi Nachman, from the story, that we're supposed to now just have bread and that's it? And to take one piece of bread and we're supposed to grab a little bit of bread in the middle of our work, like the Tam does, as opposed to sitting down to a meal? Also in the story, the Tam, there's one coat that is shared by the whole family. That's all they have. Is Rabbi Nachman telling us that this is what we have to do? Cast away all of your wealth. Throw away all of the different coats that everyone in the family has. The whole family should all have one coat. Is that what he's saying? What should we do if we have two coats in our house? I can no longer be a Tam? What's the story? We have two classes that we give over every week in this format. One is this one, and one is Likutei Moharan. Has anyone ever learned a Torah Likutei Moharan and thought, this is Tam, this is simple? It's the deepest of the deep. It's so complicated, and you can learn it on multiple levels. You can learn Likutei Moharan on a pardes, Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Soid. Absolute Kabbalah you can learn from the Torah's Likutei Moharan. And they're deep, they're complicated, they're hard. So how does that equate? How does that go together with what we're talking about over here? That we're supposed to be a Tam. What does it mean? Clearly we're missing something in understanding what it means to be a Chochom and what it means to be a Tam. Or we just haven't talked about it yet. We'll see. Right? So what's the problem over here? So he says like this, that you're right, Das is something tremendously great. Das, to translate. Let's say for now, Das means knowledge and wisdom. Okay? Das is something that's tremendously great. But he says like this, Kach, Ein ha'adam yodea hech lishtamesh im hadas. But a person does not know how to make use of their Das, of their intellectual abilities. Sha'asoyne hachi gadol shaloi, hu daitoi ba'atzma. You can have a person that their worst enemy is really their Das. You know, we've talked about before people that can be considered overthinkers, right? Or people that are trapped in their minds, right? Some people, Das is their worst enemy. Until a person keeps thinking, I have to get deeper, I have to understand more, until they get to the point where they can't be saved from their own wisdom. They've gone too far in all kinds of different chachmas, different types of wisdoms, different types of this type of understanding and this type of understanding, until everything's such a mess that they can't be saved from their own wisdoms. It's not a little danger. Listen to this statement. There's a few statements that Rav Kiwak says over here that are things we got to write down. We got to remember in our minds. Kol ikar hayahadus, the main aspect of Judaism, v'darchei ha'yira ha'amitis, and the main way to be a good God-fearing Jew, true God-fearing Jew, talui b'termimus de kedusha. It's dependent on this midah of termimus de kedusha. Termimus is the midah of the Tam, is the character of the Tam. We're not going to really fully translate it, but the word we usually use is simplicity. But let's just stick with termimus, okay? We're going to spend the next who knows how long going through the Tam. This is going to be our avodah, is to define termimus. What does it mean? So termimus is what Judaism is entirely dependent upon. Laleches bedarchei avos, to go in the way of our fathers. V'lishmor al kol sif b'shulchan aruch hilchasa, and to fulfill every halacha in the Shulchan Aruch, not to stray one way or the other. V'lishanis v'nhagim atzmim, not to change our customs from our customs. Shekol zeh hu rak al yedei termimus. This can only happen al yedei termimus. Because as soon as we start thinking, maybe we should change it like this, maybe we should change it like this, maybe I should get more involved in this and this and this, everything gets lost. Just simple, to do Judaism the way that it's always been done, in a simple, sweet way. This is the basis of everything, he says. Yeah. So listen to this paragraph. V'zehu ha'chesed ha'nifla. This is the wondrous kindness. Ha'mushrash b'midas rachamim gedolim. That is sourced in the midah of rachamim gedolim, which is a very, very high Kabbalistic space, but also means tremendous mercy that Rabbi Nachman is showing us. She'ein l'shar l'saper. We can't even measure. We can't even tell over the great chesed that is being done over here. Hatamun v'ganuz b'sipur ma'aseh. That is hidden and enclosed within this story. The tremendous kindness, tremendous loving mercy, rachamim, that Rabbi Nachman had in mind when he wrote this story. Sh'Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Metayel Itanu, B'halichos HaChacham V'Atam, that Rabbi Nachman walks with us, travels with us through the ways of the Chacham and the Tam. Yiru Eineinu V'Yismach Libeinu, our eyes should see, our hearts should be happy. Lahavchin Ben Yisuri HaChacham, L'Shalvas HaTam, to be able to distinguish between the suffering of the Chacham and the tranquility of the Tam. Ulai, maybe, nizke lehisor mishnasenu. Maybe, we'll be able to awaken from our sleep. L'chadesh yamenu b'temimus, to renew ourselves, to renew our days in this midah of temimus, of simplicity. Maybe we'll be able to wake up. But I'm telling you, I feel like this story is so powerful, and it's so unbelievable, and it's so life-changing. For so many people, it's a crime, mamish, that the whole world doesn't hear this story. It's a crime. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see what else Rav Kiwak has. Everybody with me so far? Yeah, smiles, thumbs up, good? Okay, let's go. Hagam, shebavadai, ikar ha'adam hadas, lil moed daft. So you're right. The main aspect of a person, the thing that makes us great, separates us from the animals. I see that thumbs up, Yaakov. Good work. Is das. We learn Gemara. Gemara is hard. It's complicated. It's das dik, right? So what's the problem? Ella. Shadas. This is a beautiful metaphor. A beautiful way of understanding this. A mashal. Shadas hu kamoy hashemesh. Das is like the sun. Shemeir ba'or gadol. It illuminates. It lights up with a tremendous, tremendous light. Ve'ein adam yachal istakal. A person cannot look at the sun. You can't look at the sun. A person cannot look directly into the light of das to know how to use it. What do we know about the sun? We know that the sun is everything to us. It gives our entire universe, certainly our entire solar system, certainly our planet and us. It gives us all the energy we need. It gives us electricity. It gives us plant life. It prevents us from being ice, right? And being a bare rock, al pi derech hateva, right? But we can't look directly into it. We can't really, we know it's there, and we know it's absolutely necessary, but it's so powerful. We can't touch it, we can't go too close to it, and we certainly cannot look directly into it, right? So too with das. A person cannot look directly into the powerful light of das and know exactly how to use it. We know that we need it and we know that it's there, but we can't really touch it. We can't really get too close to it. Masai, kama, va'ech. When, how much, and how to use it. Ad, sheyesh naflu lapikorsis, al yedei daitam hanavucha. Until, without falling deep into the pit of das that falls into apikorsis. By the way, apikorsis is the word for somebody, let's just say bekitzer, for somebody who knows a lot about Judaism, and then through this type of thought turns it all over and goes down the wrong path and goes against Hashem, against Judaism, against everything through his own crooked das. That's what apikorsis is. You cannot, now this is going to be another important point. We cannot understand emuna through das. Emuna is not something that is really mainly understood through intellect, right? It's kind of the opposite. Emunah means that we believe in Hashem and we believe every moment that He runs the world, and every moment there's hashgacha pratis and He takes care of us. Lahamin gam kashein mevin kol zayis. But Emunah means that maybe even specifically when I don't understand what's going on, I maintain my Emunah. Right? It's almost ki'ilu, like many people have said, Emunah begins where understanding ends. Right? We could maybe see it slightly differently. But even when I don't understand it, that's when the real test is. Right? We say lahagid ba'boiker chasdecha, in the boiker, in the morning time when the light shines and we can see everything clearly. That's the moment when we see everything, that's when we can see Hashem's chesed. But it says lahagid ba'boiker chasdecha ve'emunasecha ba'leilos. But emunah takes over in the nighttime, when it's dark and when I can't see clearly what's going on. That's when emunah steps in, right? So das cannot help me with emunah, and emunah is something that I need always. And emunah is the derech of the tam, to always know that everything, every day, every moment, every second, everything that comes to me, everything that I have, is from Hashem to me and meant for me to use, meant for me to do something with. Ulafi hayaridas v'hanafilas shel ha'adam. According to the ways that a person falls and lowers himself down, nigram sheharosh oved midei harbe v'roitze lahavin hakol. Okay, this is scary stuff now. So he says like this: the more that a person falls down in their, let's say in their emunah, let's say in their Yiddishkeit, let's say, the more that a person falls away and falls down, the more their brain is going to start working harder to try to understand everything. The farther we fall, the more we have this desire to understand everything. V'nichnas l'machshavos miyusaros v'tzadadiyos, and a person enters into this realm of extraneous thoughts and thoughts that are tzadadiyos. That means that they're tainted by something. They're coming from a certain side of perspective. What do you call that? Nogea b'davar in English. How do you say that? Biased. Certain biases, right? Until a person goes out of their mind and they cannot stop the thoughts that are just pursuing and will not let us be. They can't stop thinking. Can't stop these thoughts. Right? V'atam ki ein loy kelim la'or hadas. And the reason for this is because the person does not have vessels to be able to contain the light of das that he's trying to grab a hold of. V'adrabah. And the opposite. Kama shemoisif hadas moisif or b'li keli. The more that he tries to add on more das, more understanding, the more he has light without a vessel to hold it. And this very thing is what makes a person crazy. Right? So let's just speak about that outside for a second, because it's serious stuff. He's saying like this: the further we stray from simplicity, the further we stray from termimus. Why? Because we start to fall. We go through difficult times, we do things that we shouldn't be doing, and it pulls us down. And when it pulls us down, we find ourselves in a place of darkness. And if we don't try right away to listen to the advice of Rabbi Nachman and to get back to termimus, back to emunah, back to simplicity and emunah, right? Just to start again fresh. He's going to say soon, coming up, that the key to the life of the Tam is his chadshus, is always renewing oneself, always starting fresh. You know, he makes a shoe. What does he do after that? He makes another shoe. And another one. He's always starting fresh. He's always beginning again. Right? So if we don't do that, if we find ourselves falling and going, having a yerida in our observance, in our minds, in our emunah, and we don't right away run back with his chadshus to emunah and termimus and simplicity, right? What's going to happen? That is b'davka going to be what causes us to think more and more, to try more and more to understand what is happening. Why am I here? Why is Hashem punishing me? What's What do I need to do to get out of here? How can I, if I fix this, maybe if I get this job, maybe if I move to this city, maybe if I change this in my house and change this, and trying to figure out all these things I should do in order to get out of this darkness, right? The more that a person does that, they're going lower and lower, and the thoughts are coming more and more. How come I can't figure it out? Why can't I figure out how to get out of this darkness? Right? And Rabbi Nachman is telling us, or Rabbi Kiwak is telling us over here, that you're in a vicious cycle now. And the reason why these thoughts are making you crazy is because all these thoughts are like a ribui or. There's light that you're trying to bring the light of das, of understanding into yourself, but there's no vessels to contain it. There's nothing to hold it in. So it's just light. Ribui or, it's called in the Hasidic Svarim, too much light. And it's this very light that's making you meshuggah, that's making you crazy and making you trying to figure out what's wrong and what can I do? You don't have to do anything, he's saying. Just stop it and go back to simplicity, back to emunah, right? That's where we need to go. His chadshus in emunah and in termimus. That's what's going to get us out. And if we keep going down this cycle, it's going to get worse and worse, worse and worse. Okay. Ready with me? Yeah. Anybody feel like they have too much ribui or right now? L'chaim. Too much thinking? So let's keep going. Let's see. Let's see what else we got over here. Okay. So we already said in this Maisa, okay. So this is going on something else, but we don't have to get into that. Rabbeinu Zal is trying to save us from the thousands, myriads of thousands of tsaros. Sheish la'adam b'chol yom miharosh shaloi be'atzmoi sheshoyel kushos ve'eno yochel etartzam. The thousands, hundreds and thousands, and tens of thousands of pieces of aspects of suffering and pain that a person is going to experience from their own head by inventing questions that there will never be answers to. Putting themselves into a place of questioning where they won't find the answers. And it's through these types of questions, and it's through this that the person is going to fall into a state of feeling like they have nothing. Like this. There's a few things that I guess we have to say, that I think we should probably say. We have a good chaver over here, Khalil. We don't say in yeshiva, don't ask questions, right? You have to ask a lot of questions. And the whole entire system of Jewish knowledge is based on questions, right? We're not talking about that a person shouldn't ask questions. We're not even talking about that person shouldn't ask questions on their journey, right? But there's certain questions that will drive us out of our minds in this realm. And it's when we ask them in such a way of the Chochom that we get set down the wrong path, right? It's very different than, like we said in the very beginning of the Chochom. If he would have stopped and if he would have turned to Hashem and davened to Hashem for clarity, davened to Hashem to help him, find the right path, to help him find a wife, to help him find a job, to help him find this, to go to do his boidedus and talk to Hashem, just in regular conversation about where he finds himself and what he's struggling with. That's a different story. It'd be very different if he went to a holy wise person who was wiser than him, who knew things that he didn't, and asked for guidance. Beautiful. These are all important things. It's okay for us to struggle in life and to not know what we're doing and why things are happening a certain way. But if we approach it by being humble, going to Hashem, going to people who are wiser than us, we can get out. We can move forward. But the Chochom never does this. He just goes on his own way and tries at every point to figure things out himself, to decide what he thinks is best, jumping from one place to another, never grounded, never really thinking, never really taking the time, like Rav Arush says in the Garden of Wisdom, to compose himself, self-composure, to settle his mind, and to get on the right track. Right? So questions are okay, and needing help We should all admit that we need help, and we should look for it in the right places, right? But it's the types of questions where we feel, without emunah and without humility, we say, okay, my life's a mess. I have to fix it. I have to figure out what's wrong. And I have to do this and I have to do that. And I did this and I did this and it didn't work. God, why do you hate me? Hashem, what's wrong? Why do you keep doing this to me? I better do this, I better do this, I better do this. Wait, Hashem, it's still not working. Why? It's been a long time, it's been months, it's been years. Why am I still here? What are you trying to do to me? And okay, maybe if I do this, but never taking that path. This specific path of going to Hashem, going to tefillah, and going to tzaddikim for the advice and the answers. It's a very, very different aspect. So he says, through these types of questions, the negative ones we're talking about, a person's going to find themselves in a place where they feel like they have nothing. Right? You could have a person who has a lot of money in the bank. Maybe has investments. I'm not talking about who you think I'm talking about. Who has investments, but they're struggling in the realm of parnasa, and they feel like they don't have the job that they really deserve, and they turn down things, and they things are not right. They're not happy. Meanwhile, they have food, they have a roof, they have a family, they have money in the bank, but they're miserable. Why? They feel like they have nothing. They literally feel like they have nothing. And they have more than a gigantic percentage of the world's population. And they feel like nothing. Right? A person can have a job and a family and money and food on the table and transportation and everything they need. But they don't have a sense of satisfaction from their job, from their life, from what they're doing, as we said from Rav Arush, and we see over here also. But if they're not working towards the right goals, if they're not fulfilling their purpose, if they're not doing something meaningful, what do they feel like? They feel like they have nothing. Yet they have everything, and they feel like they have nothing. Right? They can feel, this is Rav Kiwak's words. Ayadei hakushos noifel lahargasha she'en leklum b'olam. They have nothing. Kilei maspik loy Torah Torahs Moshe v'tzitzis. It's not enough for them. They can't just be happy. The fact that I have Torahs Moshe. I have the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu gave us. I have the mitzvah of tzitzis. U'mitzvah pshutos le'shamar me'averos, and I can be careful and not do bad things. Ki mechapes daika chachmos amukos. So now you have the other types of people who they can't be satisfied just to do the mitzvahs that Hashem gave us, just to be a simple Jew. It's beneath them to just put on tzitzis and do that mitzvah. Go and make a bracha on food, and this is a mitzvah. Say tefillas, daven 3 times a day. It's a mitzvah. These things, eating kosher food, it's a mitzvah, but it's not enough. I need depth. I need more. I need to get into the deepest understandings. Oy, lasheves im gitara bahar meron, or it's just what it sounds like. Or I have to go. It's not enough. This is not enough for me. I have to go sit on the top of Mount Meron with a guitar and get all spiritual. Right? Remember, all of these things are good. I mean, for some people. It's good to sit on top of Har Meron with a guitar and get all spiritual. Right? It's the kind of thing I would do. It's good to be deep. It's good to learn deep Torah. Right? But not when the reason is because I'm unhappy with simple mitzvahs. Right? The Tam cherishes and is thankful and happy for every little bit of food. One piece of bread, simple piece of bread, is a big simcha for the Tam. Right? The regular tefillas that he says every day is a big simcha. Right? Being able to talk with his wife for a few minutes, a big simcha. Learning simple Torah or deep Torah, big simcha. Everything is precious and something to thank Hashem for. Why? Because he sees that everything that comes to him is directly from Hashem to him and is for him to use. So, and he recognizes that. Mashen came. If I want to go sit, so he can sit on Har Meron, play guitar, and be ecstatic. He can learn deep Torahs and be ecstatic. But he can also make a bracha on his cereal and be ecstatic. He can also, give $1 of tzedakah to somebody and be ecstatic, right? Because everything is given to him from Hashem to use for something holy. Mashen Kain, the Chochom, right? He can't stand this life. He can't stand giving $1 of tzedakah to a guy. He can't stand just making the same bracha on the same food. He's so like the Chochom in our story. He can't even stand to keep eating the same food. It's not good enough. He needs to be a foodie. He needs to be a culinary expert, and he's got to go try this and try that. Oh, the latest thing came out. I better, right? Yesterday, I cooked 2 pieces of meat on the barbecue, and I was being a shtickle of a Chochom, because one of the pieces of meat was like really a nice piece of meat, sort of prime quality, a lot of fat marbling in it. The other one was a little too lean, and it was kind of too thick, so it was hard to cook, whatever. So that one came out like mamish, like butter, as they say, totally beautiful. And the other one was kind of tough, whatever. But at the table, we specifically tried the whole family was there to say, oh, okay, yeah, that one's better, but this one has some other flavors that one doesn't have. Let's just appreciate it. Let's be thankful that we have some meat to eat. Right? But it's very easy to be like, oh, this one's not that good. What? What about all that protein? What about all the sustenance that Hashem stuck into that food for you? There's something to appreciate and something to be happy about every moment. Or you can be like the Chochom, who on his way back to his hometown, he was disgusted to sit with anyone. He was disgusted by all his accommodations, and he couldn't eat any of the food because nothing is good enough for him. Right? This is where it can lead us. Because of his chachma, he can't be happy with simplicity. It's not possible. What do you think of this guy, the Chacham? We're still talking about the Chacham, apparently, by the way, even though we moved on to the Tam. But let's see. Okay. So now he says, we asked the question. So are we supposed to have only one jacket and only eat dry bread our whole life? So it doesn't mean that we have to start by imitating and copying exactly the ways of the Tam. Lil Bush Pels to just wear one animal fur jacket, that's all we have, right? That's not, it's not these specific things. That's not what we need over here. What's the one main thing that Rabbi Nachman, the words he uses, Rav Kiwak, is that Rabbi Nachman wants to save our lives with? Hagam she'achachma hu ha'emes. Yeah, chachma is emes. Chachma is wisdom is important and very high, and it's the truth. But when we look deeply into this story, and we see that the Chochom actually doesn't do anything with das. He doesn't do anything in a wise way, right? He's supposed to be the Chochom. He does stupid thing after stupid thing over and over again, right? Through the more wisdoms he brings into himself, the more crazy he goes. And so too, this is an awesome statement, get ready for this. And so too, every individual, according to the way that he falls down in this realm, ikar ha'onesh, the main punishment for this person, that he's not going to have vessels for the light of wisdom that he's trying to pull down onto himself. He's not going to be able to contain it. He has too much wisdom and not enough action. Until what happens? A strong wind comes and blows and uproots the whole tree. He's gone. Yep. He's not grounded in proper wisdom. Right? So the main thing that Rav Kiwak is saying over here is this concept of having too much light and not enough vessel to receive it. Right? So everyone should just know, by the way, that there's in Kabbalah, everyone's heard of the term, maybe the shviras hakelim, shattering of the vessels. Yeah? So this is something that's planted into creation and is kind of the disaster which is all part of Ratzon Hashem, kind of the disaster that happened in the beginning of creation that scattered the sparks of Kedusha throughout all of the creation. And we're continuing up until now to rectify that big, quote-unquote, disastrous shvira, shattering of vessels, right? But in Kabbalah, this is exactly the words that are used to explain it, is that there was too much light and the vessels weren't strong enough. The vessels are each referred to in the language of Kabbalah as kings. 7 different kings. Comes from the Chumash. It's really amazing, by the way. But each one of them said, Ana Emloich, I'm going to be the king. But the light was too powerful, only in one straight line. And as it would fill up the vessel, too much light, the vessel shattered and broke. And everything got scattered throughout creation. And we're still literally picking up the pieces today. Right? So the words that he's using over here are the exact same realm. We're trying to draw down onto ourselves. We want to say, this is what we want to say, Ana Emloich, I'm going to be the king. I'm going to know. I'm going to understand everything. I'm going to figure out how to fix it. It's all me, I. I'm going to do it. Right? And what happens? There's too much light, and we don't have a keli, we don't have a vessel, and it's going to shatter. And it's just going to make us crazy. It's going to make us crazy. Okay, right? So kilakabel ora chachma tzrichim kelim. In order to receive the light of wisdom, we need kelim. We need vessels. Ve'eluhem. What are the vessels? What are the kelim? What are the vessels? We're actually not in that book right now. Vered. Yeah. We're in Rav Kiwak right now. We're not in the Rav Arush book at the moment. So when we start, Rav Arush will be on page 115. 115. Okay, so we need vessels to be able to receive Chochmah. And what are the vessels? What is the kelim? Ve'elohem ha'maisim tovim. The vessels to receive wisdom are maisim tovim, are good deeds, good actions, doing good. Right? It doesn't have to be lav davka ma'aseh b'poel. It doesn't have to be even necessarily good actions that we do, like with our hands. Is to work on our thoughts also, that we should be able to hold our thoughts in the proper way. How do we do that? How do we create vessels using thought? What's the maisim tovim? What's the good actions in the realm of thought that can help us to build the vessels for proper chachma, that we can receive the light? What is it? The more that a person is able to have a happy heart, to make himself happy, to see always nekuda tova, to look at the good points in the world, to see positivity in the world. This is the first thing that's going to build a vessel for wisdom. That's how he's going to build within his soul the light of Kedusha. What did he say? Or hadas, the light of das, of holy das. Not the kind of das that makes us crazy. Shiur bekeli, that what does that mean? Is that the light should be in a vessel. Not that the das should just fall into hevel, into vanity. Right? So by doing good things in the world, he's saying, doing good things, actions, doing good actions, and thinking good thoughts. This is what is going to build vessels for the or of Chachma, for the light of wisdom, for the das. We're going to be able to hold it. And it's counterintuitive, a little bit, because the person of Chachma, of Klipa, the person who thinks they're wise, but is using the evil type of wisdom, they're going to say to you, if you say, you know what, I just want to choose to look at the good. I don't want to get involved in this discussion. I don't want to think too much about politics, right? I don't want to. There's a thing going on between these two people. I don't want to know about it. I don't need to get involved with it, right? Okay, there's different things going on in the world. There's people talking about aliens nowadays and this and that, and what's with the economy, and BlackRock owns everything, right? Okay, forget about it, right? So people are going to tell you, what are you talking about? You don't want to know what's going on, and you don't want to be able to understand everything. And what are you, crazy? Are you a simpleton? You just, and you say, no, I want to see good people. I want to look at people and see their heart and see the good things they do. I want to have relationships with people that produce goodness. I want to do something right now that's going to help the world. I want to give tzedakah to this person. I want to give charity to this person. I want to go and there's a person I know who's really sad. I'm going to call them and have a talk with them and be there for them, be a listening ear for them. I'm going to do good stuff right now in the world. Oh, but you're ignoring the aliens? Yes, I'm ignoring the aliens. You're ignoring American politics? I'm totally ignoring American politics. You're ignoring the whole wealth, whatever, in the world system that's ruining us all? Yep. I'm not going to fix it anyway, but I'm ignoring it. Totally ignoring it. What are you, burying your head in the sand? Yeah, I'm burying my head in the sand. You know why? Because that's what Hashem wants from me, for sure. All this narishkeit is just going to pull me away from my true purpose. It's going to pull me away from happiness. It's going to pull me away from Chaim Tovim, from a good life. It's going to pull me away from accomplishing my purpose in the world. I cannot accomplish my purpose in the world if I'm glued to the never-ending cycle of fearful, evil news stories and thought processes that are out there right now. I can't live my life if I'm stuck on scrolling videos preaching fear and destruction all day long. I can't do it, right? It's taking me away from my life and everything that I could do good in the world. I could be another one of the people that sits there in front of the screen for 10 hours a day. Am I helping anybody? Am I helping myself? Is anything good coming out of it? I think nothing good is coming out of it. So yeah, I'm burying my head in the sand, just to be clear. I'm not interested in all this stuff. Right? You could take it to other places also, but whoa. Don't you want to know which sports team is, we're in Canada, right? So hockey. Don't you want to know, who is going to be in the draft and I'm not a sports guy at all, so my terms are usually not exactly right. But who's going to get the first draft? Is there a draft in hockey?
Yes.
Yeah? Who's going to get the right draft pick and who got fired and who got hired and who got traded and what's going to be in the history and this and that, and don't you care about the team? It's easy for me because I'm not a sports guy. But you know what? No, I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours focused on this because I can't fulfill my purpose. I can't do something meaningful kol zman that I'm doing that. I'll just reiterate in case people get mad at me. It's okay to have hobbies. And not it's okay. It's good to have outlets, to have simcha and to have things, but to let it run your life in this way, it's the worst. It's the worst. So goodness, doing good things, thinking good thoughts, seeing good in people, is going to build the vessels for the light, for the wisdom. So I wrote a star beside this next paragraph. So probably it's good. Let's see what he says. V'zeh ma sheRabbeinu HaKadosh mevakesh la'orer oisanu. This is what Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Nachman, is asking of us. To awaken in us that we should begin liknois, like kufnun aleph, like to be jealous of, to like really desire. V'lichsoif, and to long for el ha-termimus. He's painting a picture. He's telling us, I want to show you something and I want to show you the difference between ruining your life with the wrong type of chachma and the amazing, beautiful existence of someone with termimus, with simplicity. And I want you to see the story and to long to be that person of simplicity, to throw away all of the das, the tuma, all of the klipa, all of that crazy thought process. And to long and desire, I want to be a person of termimus. I want to be a person of simplicity. It's a kol echad, yesh letermimus tamuna acheres. By every individual person, there's a different vision of what termimus means. Right? We haven't really fully defined it yet either. Klal hadavar, but the main principle, this is gold over here, The main principle of what termimus means, hu etzem hazikaron she'achachma im enenu karoi hi sakana atzuma ad moed. That wisdom, if it's not the right kind of wisdom, is a powerful danger, an extremely powerful danger. That can totally uproot the life of a person. Once again, the general principle is that chachma, wisdom, when it's not in the right package, will ruin your life. Wisdom, when it's not in the right way, will make you crazy. Wisdom, when it's not in the right way, will make you angry and upset and depressed, and will throw you against everything. Wisdom, when it's not done the right way, will prevent you from fulfilling your purpose, will prevent you from doing something meaningful in the world, and will waste your life. This is the main principle. It's a good thing I put a star by that, right? Yeah. Okay, v'atam hapashet asa la'avoda la'maisa. So, what did the tam do? He right away. We're going to see, I think probably next week we'll start with Rav Arush in the beginning of the tam, that we see that the Chochom, in his journey, he started off and he wasted time. And he was like, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then he chanced upon a wagon going to Warsaw, so he jumped on it and said, hey, can I come with you guys? Right? And then he went to Warsaw and he started looking, window shopping. Oh, maybe I'll do that. And he grabbed a hold of that, right? But when the work got hard, he decided, I don't really want to spend my time doing this. And he wasted a ton of time, and right? Whereas the Tam, what does he do right away? The first thing he does is he gets married, he gets a job, a trade as a shoemaker, he gets married right away, and accomplishes those things that the Chochom said are the goal, that he didn't do for years and years and years and years. He right away does something. V'atam, hapashit, the simple tam. Asa la'avoda la'maisa. He does things right away. V'chipes ma ani yachol lasos bezois hashah. He looks for, what can I do at this moment, in this hour? Kedei lachzor hatam hatov shebayaldusai. That I can get back to that beautiful taste of my youth. So, if you remember, something that he said in the beginning of Kiwak. The Chochom and the Tam, they were boyhood friends and they loved each other, right? And they were happy as children, right? And when their fathers lost their money and they had to kick them out into the world, the Tam remembered what his father had taught him. And he always wanted to get back to that existence of happiness, of goodness, and of menuchas hanefesh, we're going to see over here. So he right away, he's always looking for what can I do to re-experience that. So he says, how can I get back to that good taste that I had in my youth? Tam menuchas hanefesh, that feeling, that taste of menuchas hanefesh, of how do you say menuchas hanefesh? Of a calm, restful soul. Because this is what his father taught him. This is what you should look for in life. Look for menuchas hanefesh. So this is what he does. And so he chose to be a shoemaker right away. It's because, why? Because the shoemaker hints to this idea that he's, listen to this, Shemirames al ha'avoda la'abed es or haguf lasis menu nal de kedusha. The fact that he became a shoemaker hints to this idea. So shoemakers, they work with leather, or they used to anyway, right? And what do they have to do? They have to tan the leather. They have to prepare it. They have to make it. They have to work the leather so that it's soft and shiny and good to be able to make shoes out of, right? So he says, this is Rabbi Nachman is hinting to us in this, that when a person works to do this to themselves, to their body, to get rid of the impurities, to make it soft and to make it shiny and good, to work on our bodies, to form them into this, like this, right? To turn ourselves into a nal de kedusha, right? A foothold of kedusha. Shebezeh yamatzeh menuchas hanefesh. That's how a person is going to find menuchas hanefesh. V'zeh kol That's what he's always trying to get back to. He doesn't look for extra unnecessary wisdoms. He's just working that he's always moving towards, even in a place of poverty, wherever he is, always working towards Yishuv Hadas. Oh, Yishuv Hadas. So what does Yishuv Hadas mean? Yishuv Hadas means a settled mind. It means a settled mind. In Breslov or Chassidus, Yishuv Hadas often means the state that a person finds themselves after really engaging in proper hisbodedus and finding themselves in a place where their emunah is so strong that we have no shilas. Everything is Hashem. Everything is Hashem. And I see Hashem in everything. And I'm able to live my life because I know everything is from Hashem to me. Everything has a purpose and it's meant for me. Yishuv Hadas. Right? This is where the Tam finds himself. Awesome. So can we do this, guys? Can we do this? A couple more small points here, and then we'll finish off for today. There's a lot here in the Kiwak. Like I said, his introduction that he gives over here is mind-blowing to me. But he says like this. So we see that we see that we're going to see in the story that the Tam is so busy. He doesn't waste time. So he's working as a shoemaker, right? And in between sewing, like stitches, I guess, he grabs a bite to eat because he's working hard and he's busy. He's making use of his time, right? He was always besimcha in everything that he did, and it's not just a nice story that Rabbi Nachman's telling this to us. He's telling us something important. He says, "Ki bli shum safek, shekol achas v'achas yochol lizkos lezeh." He was besimcha all the time. He's making his shoes, he's besimcha. He grabs something to eat, he's besimcha. He's happy. And he says, we can all achieve this. Lit'oim, kol hatamim b'kikar alechem. To taste all those tastes within the bread. Ketam haman shebamidbar. Like the way the manna, the man, was in the desert. It could taste like anything you wanted to. This is what the tam tastes in his bread. He's so happy that he has food to eat. That he can taste anything he wants in it. It's just his besimcha. Wow, I have food. It's amazing. Wow. Like you ever find yourself, if you keep kosher, you find yourself like out in the middle of nowhere, and like you're in a convenience store somewhere or something like that, and for some strange reason you happen to find some kind of kosher food there, right? It doesn't matter what it is. I had this wild story happen. This is a cool story. That I was one time in, I want to say, it was in Mexico, in like the Yucatan area of Mexico, and we didn't have any wine. This is a long time ago before I had my own winery. Anyway, we were there, and I was going to try to find kosher wine, and they said that there's a store, a Jewish store, where you can get wine and bread and everything. I went there, and it had closed down, and they didn't take down the listing, so I had no kosher wine at all. This is not the challah story, by the way, in Mexico. This is the wine story. We have a challah story in Mexico. This is the wine story. So I decided to go into like this big alcohol store there, wine store. I think it might be called like something like La Europa or something like that. It's a chain store over there. Go in, and I'm like, you know what? I used to do this in Winnipeg before there was a lot of kosher wine in the world. There's a ton now, right? Every once in a while, you'd be able to find, just somehow they happen to get a certain type of kosher wine from some winery, and it ended up in a place where you'd never expect to find it. Anyway, so I decide I'm going to look through every single bottle of wine in this entire store, see if I can find something. And sure enough, I find they have this one bottle of kosher wine from Spain in this store in the middle of nowhere in Mexico. So I take it back to the place we're staying. It's Shabbos, for Shabbos, make kiddush on this wine. It's terrible wine. It's mamish terrible. It's like way overly acidic, like not good. But I was so happy, and we made kiddush on it. We drank the wine. I was ecstatic. Because the chef was like, how could you not be so happy about this wine, right? Didn't matter how it tasted. And I sent a note to the distributor who sold that wine, And I was like, yeah, I found this wine over here, like amazing, what's it doing here? And he sent me back a message laughing his head off, saying that the wine was such poor quality that they shipped it off to Mexico rather than try to sell it in North America or the rest of North America. But for me to find that wine there, it was like I was tasting, Covenant or Pontet Canet from France or something like that. I was tasting the best wine in the world because it was there. Okay, so I had a lot of hashgacha pratis and big surprise, and I was so thankful to Hashem at that moment. But the tam is like this all the time, right? And he's saying we can be like this all the time. Whatever food we have, it's like the biggest gift. It's the most amazing flavor. V'zeh al yedei. Sorry, 1 second. V'zeh al yedei soiva de kedusha shemoida u'mishabeach l'Hashem al hasuda b'maleh hachius. Just that a person has what's called satiety of kedusha, of holy satiety. Just like whatever I'm getting, it's filling me up. It's food. It's energy. It's coming to me. Amazing. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you for the Suda, whatever it is. So one more point over here, and then we'll finish up. It says like this. So we all have the ability, in some way, to live this existence, to be thankful for certain things, and to see Hashem in every little thing. Okay? It says like this: Ela sheyesh madregos bekiruv verichuk me'or hashgacha. There are levels of how close and far we can get from the light of hashgacha. That means that we really see Hashem in the world. There are levels. And it's all dependent upon the chachmas, these wisdoms that we think we need. Right? Even after everyone's going to say, listen to these terms, tell me if you've heard this before. Baruch Hashem, Ve'im Yirtzeh Hashem, U'b'siyata Dishmaya, U'be'ezras Hashem Yisborach. Right? We walk around and we say these words all the time. We say, yeah, how you doing? Baruch Hashem, good. Sometimes you're really having a bad day and you say Baruch Hashem. Why? Because you like to say it, but you don't think about it. Right? Sometimes someone comes to you and says, oh, are you going to be able to make it out to my simcha? And you say, Yirtzeh Hashem, if Hashem wants, I'll come. Right? Like we were saying last week about Rabbi Gansberg. He'll tell you, Hashem wants. Do you want? Not even Yirtzeh Hashem. Hashem wants. Hashem wants you to. Are you going to go do it though, right? But I'm saying, we say these words, right? And I've known people in the past who have experienced like a lot of suffering and a lot of hardship. And one of the things they always say is it pains them so much to have these interactions with people where everyone just says, Baruch Hashem. Because they're like, do you know what I'm going through? But I'm just going to say Baruch Hashem and pretend like nothing's wrong. Right? I'm just going to pretend like everything's fine. Really, it's eating me from the inside out. And I'm so upset. But I'm just going to say, Yirtzeh Hashem, Baruch Hashem. But it doesn't, it's false. Right? However, let's be down the chavskos. And we all say these words. Right? And we all mean it to differing levels. He says, Ashrei Chelkam. Fortunate is the portion of people who say these things. It's fantastic. It's great that we see each other and we say, how are you doing? Thank God. Baruch Hashem. Is everything going okay for you? Siyata Dishmaya, with help from heaven, it's going to be okay. And to whatever level we meet it on, okay, we're doing something. Baruch Hashem. Whatever level we have it on. But he says, Aval yesh echad sheyedea be'emes she'ein ma lidog. But there's another type of person who knows for certain that there's nothing to have worry about. Hashem takes care of me and saves me every single day. He can say Baruch Hashem, and that thought means I have nothing to worry about ever. Right? Things are difficult, things are tough. Yirtzeh Hashem, it's going to change. Right? And he's not worried whatsoever. He really, really, really means it. There's different ways that we relate to this. Shezeh inyan hatam. This is the aspect of the tam. Lichyos b'shleimus ha'amuna. This is what the tam is. This is what the tam is. To live with a shleimus of amuna, with a powerful, complete perfect emunah. Liyas karov Hashem Yisbarach, to be close to Hashem. Ulaha'amin sha'anachnu eitzel Hashem Yisbarach, and to believe that we are together with Hashem. He's walking right beside us. V'liboy malei tamid barigshe hayda v'shevach Hashem, and his heart is always full of gratitude, praise, and thankfulness to Hashem. Right? This is what it means to be the Tam. This is the Tam. Tam lives with a shleimus of emunah, with strong, powerful emunah, and is always thankful for everything that comes to him. This is the Tam. Right? If we just said earlier what it is that makes the Chochom, it's when he brings in wisdom that's not the right kind of wisdom. And that's going to be a danger. It's going to make him crazy, and he's going to be thinking about everything else in the universe and pull down all kinds of terrible paths. And is going to be angry and upset and fearful, right? The Tam is the Tam, shleimus emunah, the most powerful emunah, and always thankful for everything that comes to him, right? Always looking for good, always trying to see the good in people, always trying to do good, right? If we don't hear these words and be like Rav Kiwak said, that Rabbi Nachman is trying to make us long to be like this, desire and long to be like the Tam. How could we want anything else when we hear words like this, right? Amazing. Okay, I think we'll hold it there for today. We're at 1 hour and 1 minute on the clock, so we'll stop there and we'll open it up. Anyone have anything to add? Sandra, you got something?